Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tok Piksa. As Papua New Guinea continues to plunge headlong into an era dominated by Western influence, there are concerns that a significant part of PNG's traditions, previously passed down from generation to generation, could be in danger of dying out. In this Tok Piksa special, Edwin Fidelis looks at some of PNG's dying arts, such as carvings, pottery, and handcraft. Also, we feature 84-year-old Philip Tomo, a skillful carver from East Sepik Province. From his home at Karavat in East New Britain, he tells his story of how carving making remains a significant practice in his birth district of Angaram.
Papua New Guinea is a country with diverse cultures, a sovereign nation that speaks over 800 different languages, and a nation that is kept intact to its ancient cultures and customs brought forth from the past. These are practices that make Papua New Guinea so outstanding. But over the years, PNG is facing a threat of losing these practices as the country slowly slips into modernity. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and I went to the home of Philip Tomo in Karavat in the Gezel district of East New Britain province in search for answers to how PNG is losing hold of its unique cultures. Philip is a skillful carver who is still holding on to this ancient skill of making carvings, a practice that is now slowly dying out.
But I'm good, young. Finish now, Lucy. Now, blood they can, now, can you start him?
Philip comes from Tungimbit village in the Angaram district of East Sepik province, the area so popular for its remarkable carvings. He has a long story to tell about how he left his village in East Sepik and went to Rabaul as a settler in the 1960s, and the stories he told are very Papua New Guinean.
Suppose me look, wait man passing you go? Passing below this kind. Passing below white man loop or something come inside now. Now this is passing below Perez, the walking carry. You must stop one time. You may not go straight in long this law. Now you lose him passing below Perez. That's a two bono passing.
He agreed to show me some of its antiques he had carved and stored away at the back of his small makeshift home. He says the antiques are symbols carved out and used as items of fortune that bond a person with the ancestors. Like this carving, he says it symbolizes the great spirits of hunters and fishermen.
Me go long bush, me no panima bush. Pi ko mumuto, apolo. Okay, me go to water, me no see fish, me no shooting popo. Because I'm stop, me cross na me no area block, see me come out of Perez.
He says it takes about 4 weeks to turn this wood into a masterpiece, but he came the hard way, picking up the skills from his father and how to carry on this legacy, a precious art of Papua New Guinea's history that is rarely in existence. He says the path it took to master the skills 80 years ago wasn't an easy one. Philip agreed to demonstrate how to carve while I was filming, a skill that is only taught in the men's house and remain sacred.
Story lo sipi wala pupu ki ka story blona. Pupu ka bipla. Story blona. Ami katin. Ami no sabi minim blongi. Kasi mi tok lo pers blomi aus tambalang.
It took about 4 minutes to sketch out the outline of the mask, but the path he followed to acquire these skills wasn't easy, he says.
There's a misalian taso papa misasking question. The papa you play working time you come na you learn him lo pupu bulu you. Papa bulu me learn him lo pupu bulu. You know learn lo papa bulu. Okay, me now mixing sabi lo papa. Now said papa sa gusto rin now pupu bulu nga no ang ko said looking to guy you. Bayo amamas. Tubo na bulu ya. Belum paita so. Dia sila walk, kawin, club siya. Ay no belum tubo na bulu. Papa bulu kisilo pupu bulu. Alright, papa bulu mi walk go, mi loki mi kamapi mi bipla go na mi lok na mi biani.
Philip is 84 years old, but he still walks, chews boy, and makes carvings. He lives at his small home in Keravat on the outskirts of Kokopo. He might probably be one of the last people who still have the skill to turn woods into a work of art.
You're watching Tok Piksa. The oldest cultural center in Kainantu in the Eastern Highlands province has reported that Papua New Guinea art and culture is rapidly disappearing. The management of the Eastern Highlands Cultural Center says it is becoming complicated to hold on to PNG's unique cultures as we fully embrace the culture of other Western societies. The greatest challenge for the Cultural Center is to hold on to some of PNG's dying arts such as carvings, pottery, and antiques that promote the diverse cultures of our country.
In order to understand the extent of the problem PNG is facing, we visited one of the oldest cultural centers in the country. About 500 kilometers from Leh is the small township of Kainantu, the gateway to the highlands. It is the home of the Eastern Highlands Cultural Center, one of the oldest cultural centers in Papua New Guinea. The place was established in the early 1970s to keep some of PNG's unique work of art, like handcrafts, totems, and potteries. Here you can draw the contrast between where PNG had came from and where PNG is now heading to. The center is headed by this man, Philemon Irabu, who has been encouraging people not to lose their beliefs in their cultures.
Milaki ma isla santin bajimilo isla kaso center kano soltumuna santin milaki sa santin masino ken dai milaki ma em kalsa ya milaki ma gojet na miken pumuantem na yumi wokisla wokena yumi gojet pa pasim lo kas tumlo santin mas gojet. No like him, no can die.
But in recent years, the center began to see a slight change. This may perhaps be one of the few places that are still in existence that keeps reminding us time and time again about our diverse cultures, potteries, carvings, and bilums that represents a vast PNG heritage. Now, many of us may not see anything wrong with these things on display, but for the people running this place, it's a challenge that involves our inability to hold on onto these things, and they fear that one day all these antiques might be gone, leaving behind nothing to show as PNG's pride.
All come want them now, we must walk, boom want them, you walk want them. We are much low. It's like land we know how to walk no land on here. Or you can come back and you can sit down and walk one day. You mean, put one time you make him walk. We play in come up in Center can go, and can go pick plan, all man American, all man middle place, or can come and we can put one day and walk him. Some artifacts now make him threaten or plan the man can come sell yana.
Inside Lohia, mi plasalim pottery, want them all Arapla something, bilum, na all crafts. All kind bamboo crafts Disla all man lo here lot terrorayet all walking disla.
But all these come at a price. It's a crucial stage that PNG is slowly losing hold of. One of their biggest challenges is to keep some of PNG's fast disappearing traditions, as most of our societies adapts to the Western lifestyles.
All mambuya, all spear bunarai step inside. This la all spear emblo marawaka. This la all spear emblo marawaka. This la emblo here lo terrora. Okay, all carvings all line CP karimika na mbla but all ketamambu something emblo here yet lo kainantu. All bilum stop all kind style bilum all mama walk him now put him all bilums. They get all different prices plug and stuff.
Abaka John is a craftsman. For the past 30 years, he has been making potteries at the cultural center to sell to tourists.
Ami Abaka John start work lo 1982. Now I stop me work. I coming up now 2013. I got a sambla lo me or go out and me one stop na. Was me walking na soy more se ma mi pla walking ni sa something sa ro kainan tu.
But he says it is becoming so difficult to hold on to these things that were once used as symbols that signify PNG's vast and diverse cultures.
You're watching Tok Piksa. Making carvings and pottery needs people with special skills, but the successful passing on of these skills is a rare thing today. People like Philip Tomo and Abaka John may perhaps be the remaining few who possess these skill sets, the teachings of which were accompanied by strong cultural lessons and practices. These practices, passed on from generation to generation, are beginning to die out.
Every Papua New Guinean society have its own stories to tell that are imprinted on various works of art or demonstrated in dances. But in recent years, Papua New Guineans started to draw their attentions away from these unique cultures as people slowly adapt to the Western way of living, and the process of passing it on from generations to generations eventually died out.
Because Papa and me got more experience.
Like Philip, he says these works of art takes time to master its skills, and he says the way PNG is moving doesn't guarantee their preservation.
I'm bailos. Or being passing the white man's side. Now you go long line him, this is a harim talk, nice stop, or say me Tok Piksa. Lo me, being him this, and me yet me look scare him now. Or plan the big man already asking me, walk by you school him said. No good you die finish now, what you finish.
It took him about 4 minutes to carve out an outline of the mask onto this wood, but the path he followed to acquire these skills wasn't easy.
The knife is sharp. Time me no only more same. Papa you make him. Because Papa and me got more experience. Now me work start line and we talk here. He had. Vacation. Are you thinking plainly? Because he no got sabe long by you working with something. Not just anymore. Dog or pig or pupu ko, muru ko. You know got good patinti no. Kesin na by cutting no diwa. Draw I mean harakan. Lo paper. Kasi na you stop lo classroom o wani miya. Go long or be pasco. Now this la. Me name is carving no papa bloom yard. You know easy. Inosim na to sa igo na ikisim.
He says it comes through patience, obedience, respect, and sacrifice, a thing that is now missing in most of Papua New Guinea societies.
Mani no biene me, ang bainogat. Pigini, blo brata o kandre, o pupu blomi, angkol blomi, blo sesta blomi, pigini blonga. So wasul biene mo se mi biene blo papa. Ang logat now. I'm logat, I'm finished now. Pause sawe now. Nasa wasuli biene ba sila family nis bonemia. Ang baguyit. By lainim lekang. Nenogat, I'm finished.
Kaino sem sabos mi woke one can something no sem sabos mi woke him design logan and finish now one proputim lo self in pro 3 weeks or
They say the ability of holding onto these unique skills depends on one's willingness to accept and learn. For people like Philip and Abaka, they say the possibility of holding onto this piece of PNG's history will be difficult for Papua New Guinea's younger generations who have now chose to live their lives differently.
Alright, long you mean now, we go back long hap to long this la. Papin you sim now long yampla now. I say you plan now. Sense. You know what anymore? Pasimple people. We pasimple papa mama. Now you can add him story belong long, tubuna belong, pupu belong, uncle belong. Okay. I think some blood story, me yet me no clear. Sample by no story. So I said, you got the sila by looking. Sit down belong. Look at all him two blank. This is a way come here, I'm not true plan, I'm block gamutaso. Now ask for something, passing the Paris, he must true. You must sit down. If you're not going to drop him, I go along this line, you're not true plan.
Like Philip and Abaka, they are keeping alive what would otherwise be a dying art form. But it is surely a dying art, they say. They chose to learn it the hard way. They were the first amongst a few who have chose to learn these skills, and they will be the last of these few people left. And there is one thing that Philip and Abaka have in common. They both are over 50 years old, and when they die, they take their special skills with them.
The two men we have met tonight both have unique knowledge and skill sets. Skill sets they will take with them when they pass on. The challenge that we face now is to ensure that the kind of skills that Philip Tomo and Abaka John possess are passed on to our generation and those after us. We must hope that this tide of cultural disintegration can be turned. Until next time, good night.